It was a scorching afternoon in Furfuri Nagar. The sun glared from above, the streets were empty, and a quiet laziness hung in the air. At the town's favorite tea stall, Motlu was happily munching on his third samosa, sweat dripping from his forehead but a big smile on his face. "Patlu, no matter how hot the day is, samosas always make it better," he said, licking his fingers. Patlu stood beside him, fanning himself with a newspaper. "Motlu, someday these samosas will get us into serious trouble," he muttered, shaking his head. Just then, loud hurried footsteps approached, followed by the familiar voice of Dr. Jhatka yelling, "Patlu! Motlu! Come quickly! I've found something huge." The two friends leapt to their feet. Even Ghasitaram, who had been sleeping under the tree nearby, nearly rolled into the gutter in surprise. "What happened? Earthquake? Ghosts?" he exclaimed. All three ran to Dr. Jhatka's lab, where the eccentric scientist held up a rolled, dusty scroll with trembling hands. "Behold, this map belonged to my grandfather. It shows a secret tunnel beneath the old well near the jungle, and according to the royal seal here, it leads to Maharaja Furfuri Singh's treasure." Motlu's eyes widened. "Treasure? You mean, gold, diamonds, or maybe, ancient royal samosas?" he said hopefully. Patlu's eyebrows narrowed with curiosity. "This could be a major discovery. If it's real, we'll make history." Chingam burst through the door with his siren still echoing from his scooter outside. "Any mission involving justice and adventure must include Chingam," he declared. Dr. Jhatka nodded. "Then it's settled. Tomorrow at dawn, we head to the old well and uncover the truth." The next morning, the team was ready: ropes, torches, gadgets, helmets, and most importantly, food supplies for Motlu, including a box of 50 samosas. They marched into the forest, their spirits high and their hopes even higher. After hours of walking, they stood before the forgotten well. It was ancient, its stones cracked and covered in moss, vines crawling over its edges. "I don't like the look of this place," whispered Ghasitaram. "Last time I was here, I saw a ghost, or maybe it was a monkey." Ignoring his fears, they lifted the old lid of the well. A gust of cold wind blew out the torches for a moment. Motlu stepped forward, peering into the darkness. "I think I saw something shiny down there. Maybe a golden samosa." Without hesitation, he grabbed the rope and began to descend. "Motlu, wait!" cried Patlu, but it was too late. One by one, they followed him into the depths. The tunnel was damp and narrow, with strange symbols etched along the walls. Spiderwebs brushed their faces, and the sound of water echoed from somewhere far below. They crawled and shuffled until finally, they reached a large underground chamber. In the center stood a grand wooden chest, coated in dust and cobwebs, with carvings of elephants and swords. As they approached, a sudden loud laugh echoed through the cave. "Ha ha ha! The treasure is mine!" shouted a voice from the shadows. It was John the Don, along with his goons number 1 and number 2. "Thanks for doing all the hard work. Now step aside," John sneered. Patlu and Dr. Jhatka looked at each other in shock. "How did he follow us?" said Patlu. "He must have seen us preparing yesterday, drive," Jhatka replied. The goons moved in, surrounding the group. Ghasitaram screamed and ducked behind the chest. Motlu stepped back nervously. "Patlu, I need a samosa," he whispered. Patlu quickly tossed one from the box. As soon as Motlu took a bite, his body surged with energy. His eyes glowed, his fists clenched, and he shouted, "Now you'll see what a samosa-powered hero can do." With lightning speed, Motlu began spinning and kicking, launching the goons in every direction. They flew like dolls against the cave walls. John reached for a rock to throw, but Drive Jhatka zapped him with a mini electric ray, making him jump and yelp. Chingam roared, "You are under arrest, John the Don. And with Chingam around, crime is impossible." He tied up the gang with glowing rope tape and posed like a victorious action hero. With the danger gone, the group turned to the chest. Carefully, they lifted the lid. Inside were no gold coins or jewels. Instead, there were ancient scrolls, royal seals, old maps, and a golden journal. Patlu opened the journal and began reading. "This is Maharaja Furfuri Singh's treasure, a collection of the kingdom's wisdom, history, inventions, and secret recipes. It was meant to preserve our culture, not for greed but for learning." Dr. Jhatka's eyes filled with awe. "This is far more valuable than gold. These documents belong in a museum." They tell the story of our past. Patlu nodded. We must protect this for future generations. Motlu looked down into the chest with disappointment. So, no real treasure. Not even one diamond-stuffed samosa. Just then, drive. Jhatka opened a smaller box from the side compartment. Inside were carefully preserved, sealed royal samosas, golden in color, still fragrant. For you, Motlu. The Maharaja's personal recipe. Motlu's face lit up like a child at a sweet shop. They all climbed back up and returned to Furfuri Nagar with their heads held high. The scrolls were handed to the local museum, the story published in the newspaper, and John and his goons safely locked behind bars. At the tea stall, Motlu sat with his royal samosas, eating slowly and dreamily. Patlu smiled. Motlu, we found knowledge, adventure, and even samosas. What more could we ask for? Motlu grinned. Maybe next time, a jalebi treasure. They both laughed, as the sun set gently behind the hills of Furfuri Nagar. If you want, I can now help turn this into a scene-by-scene script or voiceover video format for animation. Just let me know.